Plate tectonics. It was in 1967, McKinsey and Parker and also Morgan independently collected the available ideas and came out with another concept termed plate tectonics. A tectonic plate, also called lithospheric plate, is a massive, irregularly shaped slab of solid rock, generally composed of both continental and oceanic lithosphere. Plates move horizontally over the asthenosphere as rigid units. The lithosphere includes the crust and top mantle with its thickness range varying between 5 to 100 kilometers in oceanic parts and about 200 kilometers in the continental areas. A plate may be referred to as the continental plate or oceanic plate depending on which of the two occupy a larger portion of the plate. Pacific plate is largely an oceanic plate, whereas the Eurasian plate may be called a continental plate. The theory of plate tectonics proposes that the Earth's lithosphere is divided into 7 major and some minor plates. Young fold mountain ridges, trenches, and/or faults surround these major plates. The major plates are as follows: Antarctica and the surrounding oceanic plate. North American, with western Atlantic floor separated from the South American plate along the Caribbean islands, plate. South American, with western Atlantic floor separated from the North American plate along the Caribbean islands, plate. Pacific plate. Indo-Australia-New Zealand plate. Africa with the eastern Atlantic floor plate. Eurasia and the adjacent oceanic plate. Some important minor plates are listed below. Cocos plate, between Central America and Pacific plate. Nazca plate, between South America and Pacific plate. Arabian plate, mostly the Saudi Arabian landmass. Philippine plate, between the Asiatic and Pacific plate. Caroline plate, between the Philippine and Indian plate, north of New Guinea. Fuji plate, northeast of Australia. How the plate tectonics discovery disproved continental drift theory. These plates have been constantly moving over the globe throughout the history of the Earth. It is not the continent that moves as believed by Wegener. Continents are part of a plate and what moves is the plate. Moreover, it may be noted that all the plates, without exception, have moved in the geological past, and shall continue to move in the future as well. Wegener had thought of all the continents to have initially existed as a supercontinent in the form of Pangaea. However, later discoveries revealed that the continental masses, resting on the plates, have been wandering all through the geological period, and Pangaea was a result of converging of different continental masses that were parts of one or the other plates. Scientists using the paleomagnetic data have determined the positions held by each of the present continental landmass in different geological periods. Position of the Indian subcontinent, mostly peninsular India, is traced with the help of the rocks analyzed from the Nagpur area. Divergent boundaries. Where new crust is generated as the plates pull away from each other. The sites where the plates move away from each other are called spreading sites. The best-known example of divergent boundaries is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. At this, the American plates are separated from the Eurasian and African plates. Convergent boundaries. Where the crust is destroyed as one plate dived under another. The location where sinking of a plate occurs is called a subduction zone. There are 3 ways in which convergence can occur. These are: between an oceanic and continental plate, between 2 oceanic plates, and between 2 continental plates. Transform boundaries. Where the crust is neither produced nor destroyed as the plates slide horizontally past each other. Transform faults are the planes of separation generally perpendicular to the mid-oceanic ridges. As the eruptions do not take all along the entire crest at the same time, there is a differential movement of a portion of the plate away from the axis of the Earth. Also, the rotation of the Earth has its effect on the separated blocks of the plate portions. How do you think the rate of plate movement is determined? The strips of normal and reverse magnetic field that parallel the mid-oceanic ridges help scientists determine the rates of plate movement. These rates vary considerably. The Arctic ridge has the slowest rate, less than 2.5 centimeters/year, and the East Pacific rise near Easter Island, in the South Pacific about 3,400 kilometers west of Chile, has the fastest rate, more than 15 centimeters/year. Where comes the force for movement of plates? The fact that the plates move is now a well-accepted fact. The mobile rock beneath the rigid plates is believed to be moving in a circular manner. The heated material rises to the surface, spreads and begins to cool, and then sinks back into deeper depths. This cycle is repeated over and over to generate what scientists call a convection cell or convective flow. Heat within the Earth comes from two main sources, radioactive decay and residual heat. The slow movement of hot, softened mantle that lies below the rigid plates is the driving force behind the plate movement. Movement of the Indian plate. The Indian plate includes peninsular India and the Australian continental portions. The subduction zone along the Himalayas forms the northern plate boundary in the form of continent-continent convergence. In the east, it extends through Rakhine Mountains of Myanmar towards the island arc along the Java Trench. The eastern margin is a spreading site lying to the east of Australia in the form of an oceanic ridge in SW Pacific. The western margin follows Karthar Mountain of Pakistan. It further extends along the Mkrina coast and joins the spreading site from the Red Sea Rift southeastward along the Chagos Archipelago. The boundary between India and the Antarctic plate is also marked by Oceanic Ridge, divergent boundary, running in roughly WE direction and merging into the spreading site, a little south of New Zealand. India was a large island situated off the Australian coast, in a vast ocean. The Tethys Sea separated it from the Asian continent till about 225 million years ago. India is supposed to have started her northward journey about 200 million years ago at the time when Pangaea broke. India collided with Asia about 40-50 million years ago, causing rapid uplift of the Himalayas. It also shows the position of the Indian subcontinent and the Eurasian plate. About 140 million years before the present, the subcontinent was located as south as 50 degrees south latitude. The two major plates were separated by the Tethys Sea and the Tibetan block was closer to the Asiatic landmass. During the movement of the Indian plate towards the Asiatic plate, a major event that occurred was the outpouring of lava and formation of the Deccan Traps. This started somewhere around 60 million years ago and continued for a long period of time. Note that the subcontinent was still close to the equator. 40 million years ago and thereafter, the event of formation of the Himalayas took place. Scientists believe that the process is still continuing and the height of the Himalayas is rising even to this date.